Hello everyone, this is Justin with the Ready Life channel, and we're out for another adventure in the Mojave Desert today. I just wanted to make a point about these adventures we're going on and how they apply to the channel. We call ourselves the Ready Life channel because we talk about skill sets and knowledge that can help you be prepared, be ready for any situation that may come. We don't know what the future holds, but we also like to have fun, and being in the outdoors is fun too. So, I try to combine doing adventure and fun activities with that knowledge, right? So now we're out here in the Mojave Desert, and there's a lot of deserts around the world. The American Southwest, we have the Sonoran and the Mojave Desert. They're in Mexico, and the Great Basin takes up a big part of the West. And there's a lot of common features that deserts have, and so this knowledge can apply to you in a survival situation, or just if you're out here adventuring around, like a lot of people do, coming out to Death Valley, Joshua Tree National Park, or any of just the enormous amount of public land in the American West. Probably around the world as well. I haven't experienced that as much. But today we're going out to a dry lake bed. We've had an unusually long monsoon season with lots of rain recently. And so as a consequence, a dry lake bed, which, may have been or was probably a lake in prehistoric times when there was a lot more moisture, when the environment was wetter here in the desert. And so basically these dry lake beds are dry most of the time, but when it rains a lot, they do actually fill up with water. And so this may have an important element for survival, because it's potential that you could drink out of it. If you were walking along in the desert or driving and your car broke down and you needed a source of water, it's potential that a dry lake bed could provide you with fresh drinking water. Now, that could largely depend, because a lot of dry lake beds are actually salty or alkaline. And so, those are called salt flats or alkaline flats, generally speaking. So it really depends. And so having some knowledge about that is important. And it's also a potential that it could be a food source. There are brine shrimp in dry lake beds that we'll talk about more. Can you eat those? Or would they attract other food that you might be able to eat as well? We'll talk about it. Stay tuned to the end. We're going to walk out to at least the edge of the playa. That's what they're called. That's what a dry lake bed's called, is a playa. And see if we can find some brine shrimp and see what else we can find. There is the famed 7 Magic Mountains. It is a weird art installation. Neon colors, like Las Vegas, 7 Magic Mountains, and yet behind them you have real mountains. Kind of weird. But you can see out here I'm actually on Las Vegas Boulevard, believe it or not, south of Las Vegas, which parallels the 15 freeway. And there is what is called the Jean Dry Lake Bed. There's a lot of these dry lake beds, playas, in the desert, but this one is close by. And I don't know if there's much water left after. We may have come out here too late. We're going to see. We're going to get closer. It looks like there is still some water in the middle, so we're going to see if we can get to it. As you can see, there are fire restrictions, and there's desert tortoise out here, so be careful. It's also convenient here that we have a paved road. I think it's a gravel company built this paved road comes down to the playa. And I'm going to meet with my friend, because anytime you're out in the desert, driving off-road especially, it's good to have a second vehicle, a friend, for safety reasons. All right, well, we're heading down a dirt road towards the playa. And yeah, it could be that we got here too late for the water. It can go away fast, but this is clay, and it should keep for a while. So hopefully we'll get some water out there. If not, there's another place where, and this is something that actually happens, is that ranchers will, in the past especially, have altered the land around a playa to retain water longer for feeding livestock. So we can check that out if necessary. But here's a fun dirt road here. Let's see. Hopefully it's not too bad. Yeah. Usually these, I mean, I do have four-wheel drive. I rarely use it. I have all-terrain tires, pretty high clearance in the Suburban. But you know, generally the desert is pretty mild off-roading. You know, you get up in the mountains, you can do some rock climbing. That's not my thing. So people do camp out here. You saw we just passed some you know, RVs. It's just a great, I mean, look how green it is too. And all these flowers on the desert floor here, just beautiful. That is beautiful. I love the desert. I don't know about y'all. It's a wild place. It's just millions of acres of undeveloped natural spaces. For the outdoor lover, this is an amazing place. Now we'll see here if it gets muddy. We'll probably stop before we get to the playa itself and maybe walk out there. But there are a few roads that are well traveled anyways. If they're not wet, you know, then we may go out as far as we need to see some water at least. We shall see. It's pretty sandy right here. This might be a good time to put on the four-wheel drive. Maybe not. That little spot back there was definitely sandy, but yeah, getting stuck in sand is definitely a concern for the overlanding adventures in this kind of environment. Definitely something to be mindful of. That's why it's good to have two vehicles. Well, we're just kind of inspecting here because we're just making sure it doesn't get wet. This, or muddy and get stuck, you know. This all seems pretty, it looks kind of wet even though it's not, it's just shiny because this stuff is cracked. And it's clay, so it's just kind of looks like it's wet, but it's not. So I think we'll go out a little bit further, but there may not be any water. Here's a little desert flower. I don't know if it's a nightshade. My friend Lisa thinks maybe. But they're all over through here. You can see where the edge of the lake, the original lake was, because of the vegetation change. That's the shore of what used to be a lake in prehistoric times probably. But there were people living here hunting, and this would have been a place where animals would have gathered, a good place to hunt. So it is likely that there are cultural sites, as they say, archaeological sites along the edges of these playas, which makes these playas, it gives them cultural value in the government's definitions. So we could probably search and maybe find chert or other signs of human activity from prehistoric times here. All right, we got the four-wheel drive on just in case, but it should be fine. It's already pretty dry out here. It happens quickly. So like I said, we're driving in. There's already kind of a road here. We wouldn't want to drive on a wet playa, that's for sure. And we're sticking to this main road. That's what you want to try to do. And at some point, you just don't want to drive on them, even when they're dry, because you don't want to damage them. There are eggs. The eggs of the brine shrimp, actually, they have a quick life cycle. They hatch when the water comes, and then, you know, when it dries up, they lay eggs, of course. When it dries up, they lay dormant until the next big rain. All right, so we're coming out to kind of the edge of the playa here. So we'll stop soon. I want to go further than about this part right up here. All right, we're looking out towards, we're on the edge of where there was water more recently, so we're going to walk on foot from here. I don't know if there's any water out there anymore. I think it may have all completely dried. But you know, one thing that does happen is the water brings in wildlife. Birds actually eat the brine shrimp. That's a food for them. You can see tracks in the mud here. It's drying quickly. The bird tracks. Yeah, it doesn't look like there's any water. We may have gotten here a little bit too late. But I think the water here could probably be drank. If it was, I mean, I would boil it like anything else. But I think it could be, and I don't think this is a salt flat or alkaline flat, so. The ground is cracking as we step on it. It's kind of cool. Yeah, I see the bird tracks. And you know, if it was the end of the world, you know, and you were out here, you could probably, you know, be in a location like this and potentially hunt a bird or capture a bird somehow. Oh, there's a big old bug right there. A couple of them. I can't even see the screen enough to know if I'm getting them. There's water? Oh yeah, there is.
Maybe on the north side of that too.
Yeah, these little sand dunes here. No overtime, and oh, here's some water right here. So if you know you were stranded in the middle of the desert, this could be a water source. I mean, that doesn't look too good, but now the only thing I'm wondering is if those are those the shrimp? I think so. They're pretty small, these ones. I mean, I think they get bigger than this, but these are little. Man, I can't even see on my screen if I'm getting it. Hopefully. Okay, I put on some more appropriate shoes so I don't get my boots muddy. Because it's pretty muddy here. So we're gonna get to, there's a pool of water out here. We can probably see something better. But this is, you know, it was a lot more water in here probably just a couple weeks ago.
So this is like hell's age. So those are done like
Oh,
hibernation
so this-
phase or what?
So this puddle has dried up, and they're in the center there, and their shells look like they're almost open.
Yeah.
I don't know why this thing keeps turning off, but I found a nickel. And if I had a nickel for every time I found a nickel in a playa, I'd have a nickel. What we got here? Shotgun shells. So yeah, there's a decent amount of water still here in this part. And you can definitely see them swimming through here. I hope you can see them. That's the other thing. I think the water's a little clearer when there's more of it, so you can see better. What do you got here when it's all muddy? But oh wow. Okay. So I don't know what these are or were. They look like posts. I mean, it could be stumps, but probably more likely to be posts that were here for some reason. Which makes it likely that this area in the center was corralled to, like I said earlier, make this water last longer for livestock, maybe. But I'm not really sure on that. That is my guess. So here's this much larger pool in the center. Some trash here. Be careful with the glass. Ooh, yeah. All right, well, here's a nice view from the top. You can see our vehicles way out there. And you can see this lake that obviously, I mean, I would assume this earth has been moved to retain the water here. All right, well, that was interesting. Got back to my car, recorded an outro, and of course, forgot to check that the microphone was on. It's hard to see when it's so bright out here. So anyway, we made it back to the car fine, and you know, I asked around about the water in the playa, and the truth is that you know, that water is full of, first of all, birds poop in it. There's bugs in it. There's the you know, like I mentioned, the brine shrimp. So it's probably, you know, not a good idea to drink it obviously straight from the thing. You could boil it and purify the water some way. But another big concern is the mineralization, or the soot that's in the water. It's going to be pretty heavy, especially as the water gets lower. So that is a concern. I know reversed osmosis processes help to take out minerals. I'm not an expert on water purification, so I'm wondering if, you know, you could take a shamog and filter the water through this or some other cloth into a vessel, and that would help remove the soot and the minerals, and then boil it or purify it somehow, or use. I wonder if a life straw would even work. So if you happen to know the answer to that, I'd love to hear your opinion about that. And I say, you know, water, you're going to die within 3 days without water. So if you're in the desert, it's an emergency situation, it applies. I think you do whatever you have to do, but it could make you sick. So I wouldn't try this at home, kids. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. We're, you know, trying to shift our focus here on the channel to doing more adventures and combine that with some knowledge as well. So
If that's something you like, hope you subscribe. If it's not, then no hard feelings. Feel free to not subscribe or unsubscribe. But we hope to see you soon. We're going to try to do a video every Thursday and make it more regular. I have now the time to dedicate to this, and I have a bunch of stuff planned for coming up. I'm out here in the desert right now, and there's so many amazing places close to where I live, and I want to camp in those places and show you. And there's even some stealth camping opportunities that I'm looking at. So yeah, we'll hope to see you on some of those. So we got the old Spanish Trail here, we got ghost towns, we have just interesting geological features. So all right, we will see you next Thursday. Take care.